Gentle viewer, this may look like Bridgerton, but it's not. It's just very, very similar. Alonso, please tell us about Mr. Malcolm's List.
Yeah, this is the We Have Bridgerton at Home movie.
I would love for Mr. Malcolm to receive the comeuppance he deserves. Plus, it could be rather fun.
So yeah, this is based on a novel by Suzanne Allain, who also wrote the screenplay, and it stars ostensibly it stars Freida Pinto and Sope Dirisu as our romantic leads, but really, if you want to get down with it, it stars Zawe Ashton as Julius Thistlethwaite, who is spurned by Mr. Malcolm after one disastrous date to the opera. She learns that he keeps a list of requirements in a young lady, and because she has failed to meet them, he dumps her. This makes her very angry, so she reaches out to her dear impoverished friend Selina, who is the daughter of a vicar, played by Freida Pinto. She brings her to London so that she can seduce and then throw down her own list at Mr. Malcolm as a way of getting vengeance. But wouldn't you know it, Selina and Mr. Malcolm wind up falling in love anyway. Who would have seen that coming?
I never saw that coming. That was a big surprise to me.
So, look, we know what we're getting into with this. We know this is like going to be Jane Austen light, and it is very Bridgerton in the non-traditional casting. You have the leads who are South Asian or British Nigerian, and it is never commented upon. It's just part of the landscape, and that's cool. But it's cool that Bridgerton has already done for 2 seasons, and so that's not enough. It is a method of telling a story that is not in and of itself unique or interesting anymore, because it's a thing that people are doing. So what you're left with in this movie are 2 romantic leads who are kind of drips. They're both just nicey nice and kind of boring, and really the movie belongs to Julia. Zawe Ashton is hysterical in this, and she is a woman scorned who is a bit of a snob and a bit of as Meg Ryan calls herself in Joe versus the Volcano, a flibberty gibbet, but has this very tactical way of trying to get revenge, and perhaps that is why she winds up falling in love with the dashing Captain Henry Ossory, played by Theo James. And maybe he sees another tactician in her, and while she's a bit of a snob about getting involved with the military guy, it is pretty undeniable that they're going to be a couple as well. If you're here for the corsets and the candles and the carriages and all that stuff, you get it. You get it in abundance. You get the country homes and the masquerade balls and the handwritten letters and all that stuff. But it just kind of feels like stuff we've seen done elsewhere and better, I thought. What'd you think?
Right. And first, as you put it, I think that has a lot to do with it. This might seem really novel if Bridgerton didn't already exist and weren't already such a phenomenon.
Right.
The Bridgerton books came out before the book version of this. Okay. And then Bridgerton as a series came out before this. And so...
But are the Bridgerton books as racially mixed as the show is, or did the show add that to it?
Or is that Shonda Rhimes putting her spin on it?
I honestly don't know. I don't know
either.
The books,
but the books came out from 2000 to 2006. Okay. And Mr. Malcolm's List came out in 2009.
Okay.
So if you guys have read all the stuff and can enlighten us, let us know. But it does sort of feel like it's a nice attempt at sort of cashing in and just, enjoying something that everyone enjoys, but not quite as good.
And I mean, by all means, let more of this. I think it's a cool way to cast these things and not have them be the same old, but you can't, that's not, then you also have to have good writing and, interesting characters and stuff for your interesting, talented, racially diverse cast to play. And I think that's kind of where this falls short.
And Mr. Malcolm he's kind of a Mr. Darcy figure.
Yeah.
He's stoic and kind of uptight and seems like he's just angry and no fun all the time. But like there's more to him. He's afraid of being vulnerable, you know. And also his mom is like Lady Danbury essentially in terms of her vibe and the way she dresses. I mean, Freida Pinto is enormously charismatic and gorgeous at all times. She looks great in the dresses, and she finds a gentle sense of humor within the absurdity of this. Zawe Ashton gets the much showier role, and she's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, she's just like wild and impulsive, and you know, has to try to restrain herself because of what society dictates, but her impulses are all about chaos, and that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look, frankly, if you're going to watch a half-assed Jane Austen retread, you know, and okay, let me rephrase that because it's not half-assed, but if you're going to watch a Jane Austen that is not a Jane Austen, you're better off watching Fire Island on Hulu.
That is a really good point. Yeah. And this has a lot of elements of Jane Austen, of course, but also there's a bit of Pygmalion to it because they have to give Freida Pinto's country mouse a bit of a makeover and teach her the quadrille. You know,
to make her a young, sophisticated lady.
We just seen too much Regency era stuff at this point, you and I. Between Bridgerton and what the hell is that show on HBO that we liked? Oh my God, the Gilded Age.
Yes, no, believe me, when they said quadrille, my mind immediately went there. Yeah, and like, look, Freida Pinto can rock an Empire waist like nobody's business, but there's just not a lot of character there.
I'm concerned about the facial hair and mutton chop sideburns they've given to Theo James, because he's a beautiful man, and they're making him look like a supporting character that Sacha Baron Cohen would play in some wild ensemble comedy.
I beg your pardon, madam. I find they were attractive, and they were also, look, this is a guy who just came back from the Battle of Wellington. That is what he would have on his face. Come on.
I know, but he's Theo James. He's so pretty. Like, what have you done?
The Battle of Waterloo, rather. With Wellington, you know what I mean.
Some battle. Anyway, I enjoyed this. I'm giving it a 6.8, but it does feel inferior to other really great stuff out there that does the same kind of thing.
Yeah, I said 5.5. This just doesn't seem special, and Christy has a problem with facial hair that we're going to have to explore later.
I'm not a fan. I find you very handsome, and yours, it suits you.
Oh, yeah, sure. Dig it out now, yeah.
No, it's true. And when we were like deep in the pandemic and you had your like incredibly majestic beard going, that was very impressive. But like, my husband does not have facial hair. It's not my type.
Hashtag not my Theo. I hear you.